Okay, hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I am finally going to be exploring the MPC 3.5 desktop software. I've been looking forward to this. I haven't used MP3 software. I haven't used MPC software in the past. I've been more of a standalone user. I've used a couple different MPCs, but I am really intrigued by the idea of kind of like a half DAW, half groovebox. And that is the best way that I can kind of think about how this workflow is set up. So if you're not familiar with the software or how the MPC interacts with it, basically what's happening here is that your workflow in the MPC that you know and love is just running on your desktop computer. It's just kind of like the workflow in here ported to a desktop. Obviously, the interface looks different, the GUI looks different, but fundamentally what it's supposed to be is the exact workflow from the MPC, just accessible on a desktop computer where you can use your mouse and keyboard to make beats rather than all of these hands-on controls. And when you plug in the MPC, while you're using the desktop software, you can put your MPC in something called controller mode. So the MPC just turns into a controller for the desktop software. It's not doing any of the processing. It's not doing any of the sound manipulation. It's just acting as a really, really seamlessly integrated controller for the software. Think of like an Ableton push to Ableton kind of thing. So the software does all the heavy lifting and the MPC is just a controller. What is the advantage of this? Well, obviously your computer has a lot more processing power than the MPC does. So on the computer, you can actually insert your own favorite plugins. I use a DAW a lot, probably primarily still, even though I love grooveboxes. I have my favorite plugins, and I really miss having them in the MPC standalone. It's got some great plugins in here. It's impressive what it can do, but yeah, I miss my FabFilter stuff. I miss my amp sims. So I'm excited to try that out. All right, so I have MPC 3. Why is that hard for me to say? I keep wanting to say MP3C. I have it on my computer. It's running, and I have my MPC One hooked up in controller mode. So you can see here, this is just controlling my software. Anything that I do on my hardware just controls what's happening in software. It's all hooked up pretty seamlessly. All of my audio is being processed in my audio interface, not the MPC. So this is the only connection here is just USB. That's it. It's not passing audio. It's just controlling software. And I'm kind of using my regular audio interface set up like I would in any other DAW. And I'm going to try and work the same way that I work on the MPC, kind of looping into tracks and building up a performance that way. So yeah, let's just get going and see what we can do here. So first thing I want to do is pick a drum kit. I'm just going to use a stock kit, and I do have one in mind that I wanted to use. I think it was this one. Side note, this is the first thing that I prefer using a mouse and keyboard for, is choosing presets, like choosing samples and choosing kits. On the MPC, it's kind of cumbersome to go in with a touch screen and scroll through and find one. You can use the encoder, but then they preview, and it's a whole thing. So picking a kit, I actually prefer using a mouse for that one. So I put this kit in here. That sounds good. Let's change the tempo. I don't know how to do that on desktop, so I'll do it here. I'll just use tap tempo on the box. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see my BPM changes in the software. 89.29. Sure, let's do it. And then let's go and turn on auto record at loop start enabled. That's how I like to work. I always have that on. So that's perfect. Okay, let's play, let's record, and something like this. All right, a little sloppy, but that's what time correct is for. Let's turn the swing on. I want like 65, do it. Okay, that works. Let's turn the metronome off, and then this is another area where I think using the desktop software is going to be a lot quicker. So editing velocity and different parameters in MIDI is going to be easier with a mouse. It's kind of hard with the fingers. So let's turn this ghost note velocity down. Let's pump this up a little bit because that should be a full kick. And then hear what that sounds like. Let's overdub one more kick on here. Okay, I overdubbed one more kick, but I'm going to turn the velocity way down because it's another ghost note. All right. Yeah, that works. That sounds good. Let's do new track. Let's do another drum program, excuse me. And then let's find something with nice hi-hats here. That's not a hi-hat. That's pretty nice. Cool. Let's get some of that going. Record, play, start. Okay, some of those velocities are too quiet, so let's pump them up a little bit. Man, it is so much nicer editing my velocity on MIDI notes with a mouse. Doing this on the touchscreen is a little slow. Cool, I like that. Let's do a new track, and I'm going to play some guitar. So let's go for audio, and then monitor is going to be set to auto, and then we're using my audio interface, and my guitar is plugged into input 2. So I'm going to put my input to input 2 here. And side note, I'm finding it interesting how I'm like just kind of back and forth between the groovebox and the software. There are certain tasks that are easier on the groovebox just with buttons, and there are certain tasks that I really prefer a mouse for, like selecting from a big list. So it's just interesting how that's already kind of cementing itself for me. All right, so input 2, monitor set to auto, output 1, 2. So if I grab my guitar, theoretically, we have sound. All right, let's add our first third-party plugin here. So there are some amp sims that I really, really like. Helix is what I use for live performance. It's the physical modeler that I enjoy the most, but for plugins, I really like the Neural DSP stuff. So I'm gonna load up the Tone King Imperial Mark II on this audio track. Yeah. That sounds great. I'm just on the default setting. I'm gonna pull some lows out of there though. And then maybe I'll take the gain down a little bit too, actually. Let's go back to our amp. Let's turn the volume down a little bit. We'll turn the output up a little bit. The UI is kind of cut off here a little bit. You can see it's still in beta, so not all plugins work perfectly. Sounds really good. I love that reverb. All right, that's cool. And then let's use another one. So the plugin that I like to use for coloration is this RC20 Retro Color by XLN Audio. And I'm going to add some of this to my guitar here. Ooh, too much noise there. Turn the noise down. Turn. Let's give it a little more verb. That's cool. Let's record that. So I have everything set up, so it'll start recording on the 1. I tried to lay back behind the beat. That might have been a little much, but maybe not. That's really cool. That's really cool, being able to use my favorite amp sims in the MPC workflow. I really like that. But let's do another track, because there's another amp sim that I love, and it is another Neural DSP one. It's Archetype Pliny X. So let's pop that in here. Oh, and we need to set up our input. So we're going input 2, monitoring goes to auto. Cool. Ooh, that's a lot of reverb. So this plugin is really good for leads. I use it a lot for that, but it has kind of this cool like secret function that I really like, and that is actually using it for bass sounds on guitar, similar to what I do with HX Stomp. So there's this preset here called Clean Bass, and then this transpose knob. If you just pull this down 12 steps, go to my humbucker, it's not a perfect bass replica, but it's pretty passable in a mix. So let's try and figure out a part. Don't like that, we'll undo it, redo it. All right, that sounds good. Sorry you can't see my guitar, by the way. It's I have limited cameras, so it's kind of either like talking head or guitar. Working on that. What does it sound like? Cool. So it's getting a little cluttered in the mid-range, and this is an area, if there's one thing that I think is missing on the MPC, for me and my workflow, it's a super powerful EQ. It's absolutely crucial. I can hear in this mix, there's just a lot happening in the mid-range, and this is the advantage of the standalone, not the standalone, the desktop software. This is the advantage of the desktop software, is I can add as a VST3, my probably all-time favorite plugin, which is, where is it? Not under FabFilter? No, it's not. It's Pro Q3. It's Pro Q3. It's my favorite plugin. So let's put Pro Q3 on here. Yeah, so you can see over here, it's getting a little muddied up between like 150 and 300 hertz. I don't necessarily want that, so let me scoop that out. Yeah, I end up using this preset a lot, Mix Declutter. You can hear the difference. So check it out. If I turn the plugin off, there's a lot of mid-range. It feels like it's just hitting me right in the face. Turn it on. Low end is still there, high end is still there, but it's a lot less cluttered, right? That's a big advantage. I could also like fully master it in here, but I probably will still do that in Pro Tools. But you know, I could if I wanted to with all these plugins now, which is pretty cool. Let's see, I do want to do a little solo here. So let's add another track, another audio track. Input to, I should probably just duplicate these tracks. That'd probably be faster. Auto, and then so let's go for another amp sim. This time let's go for Helix Native. Let me pull this up here. And let's go for a Princeton. Let's get this filter working for us here. Something like that. Let's hear what that sounds like. It's getting a little crazy in those low mids. Whoa. All right, let's do this because we can. Let's put another Pro Q3 after this and just pull out those low mids because it's getting a little crazy in there. Pro Q3, pull it up, and let's just. Ooh, that one right there. See that? That is bad news. Let's turn the Q way up to like 6. Okay, and then we're also going to put a low cut on here. So let's also put a low cut. All right, let's turn the mix down on this auto filter, like maybe halfway up. It's interesting, while I'm using the desktop software, I'm getting much more picky about my mixing, which I don't typically do on this standalone. I guess it's because I have my plugins that I like, right? So far, I'm really enjoying the kind of hybrid workflow here. Like I said, it feels to me like a half groovebox, half DAW. It's not a full DAW, right? There's a lot missing for it to be kind of considered on par with like Pro Tools or Ableton or something. But it's much more than what a typical groovebox can do in terms of plugin loading and all that good stuff. And the integration is really, really tight. So I feel like working on the MPC and controlling the software doesn't slow me down at all. I don't feel like there's any remapping I have to do. Everything works the way I expect, which is pretty cool. Yeah, maybe I'll be recording my live looping performances this way from now on, since I can use my own plugins. I think that's pretty nifty. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you have used this, if you've used it in a different way. But I think it's pretty cool. It's not complete. We're still missing the arrangement view, but all in due time. It's a beta. I know how that goes. So yeah, thanks for joining me. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for watching me make some music. I hope you get out and make some music this week, and I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching. Cheers.